Yeah, I want to charge. Oh, friend. Welcome to our first meeting of 2025. Thank you all for joining us on this nice warm evening. I love the Michigan cold. Sweeter than last week. No doubt, Miss Sandy. No doubt. Oof, we've had some miserable temperatures. Hopefully, everybody's antennas and feed lines and everything else are faring good with it. So, yeah, right. Not the truth. Yeah, you wouldn't want to go out and do any rework on that, would you? All right. Well, do we have any visitors or first-time members joining us? CRK, I know better than that. But go ahead. Could you want to introduce yourself? And
Hey, I'm Will, K8 CBO. I'm a new member. My technician license November and signed for my general.
welcome. Well, thank you. Glad to have you and welcome aboard. All right.
We had others.
We have others. Well, come on.
Pine Grove, Kilo Foxtrot 8 Delta Echo Julia. So try and remember that. I just got my technician's license on Wednesday.
Nice.
Go ahead, stand up.
Matthew Pranger, AF8 DEP technician.
Nothing like being on the spot. Well, welcome. Matthew, you were at our last VE session, so good to see you. All right. Anybody else? I didn't miss anybody? All right. See, I'm just so excited to get rolling here. Speaking of rolling, let's do our official roll call. We'll introduce ourselves to y'all. So I am Cliff, AK9TX.
Sean, AE8SE.
Mike, K8AGY.
Duck WV8A.
Bill, 88WA.
Ron, K8DTJ.
I'm James Keller, W8WW.
Chris, WI8X.
Tom, K8YVH.
Keith, KE8AUO.
John, K8YYZ.
Zach, K8ZRY.
So how are you like?
Chris, N8PVL.
Norm, K8VIJ.
David, K5XD.
Jerry, W8RQM.
Hank, N8ANR. Dave, K8DE.
Scott, K8UXG.
Jeff, KB8CRS.
Joe, K8DOU.
Mike, K8YSN.
W8TKB. Mac, K8TPO.
Willie, KE8LXX.
Tom, K8TL. Alan, K8BT.
Zach, KF8.
Mike, K8MRS.
Doris, K8DXJ.
Taz, K8TAS.
Nick, N8REW.
Sandy, AK8AA.
John, KC8CRK. Will, K8CBL. Chris, W8CFM.
Don, W8LFF.
Brian, AF.
John, W8AGA.
Paul, W8PAS.
Well, good evening again, everybody. Thank you for that. And see, you say a call sign a few times, it just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? You'll never forget. All right. Well, this ought to be a fun question after this last weekend. Who's been on the air since the last time we were together? Yep, very much everybody. How about on our Zoom folks too as well? Nice. Good to see everybody being radioactive. All right, executive board announcements. We have a few of them. Your board's worked really hard over this past year on bylaw updates, making things a little bit more formal. We'll go over some of that later on tonight. New business with you all. I hope that everybody has seen the link and hopefully had a chance to look at some of this stuff. If not, I highly encourage you to go out and look at the changes that have been made, the proposed changes that have been made that we'll vote on next month. There is a link that's been published. It's out on our website. All the changes are highlighted in yellow, so it's pretty obvious of what's been updated. And yeah, I just again highly encourage you all to take a look at that since we're going to be voting on it next month. And to that, I hope to see everybody here next month or wherever we end up meeting next month, which we'll get that announcement out just as soon as we can. So that we can vote not only on the new bylaws and constitution stuff, but also election of club officers. So um, that'll be a very important meeting to have everybody at. Speaking of kinda, we are going to have a couple of director vacancies this year. Um, Keith and Zach have served the board extremely well for many, many years, and they've decided to make their positions available to others in the club. And so, if anybody's interested in becoming a director at large, the official title for that, uh, come and talk to you. Either come talk to me, come talk to the board, ask us questions, what all entails. Talk to Keith and Zach, who've obviously been doing it for years, can give you some insight on that. That's not an elected position, it's an appointed position by me. But if you have any interest in it, please let me know. Definitely looking forward to welcoming you into the fold.
It pays very well.
Oh yeah, they all pay well. Yeah, there you go. And really, folks, that goes for any of the even the elected positions. If you have any desire to be president, vice president, treasurer, anything, and even if you don't want to do it this year, come and talk to us. We'll be glad to answer any questions you have about it. Anything you've been yearning to know about any of these positions and and how much they pay. Come and talk to us. Like I said, even if it's not something you want to do right this minute, if you have an interest, let's talk about it. Get you involved. And getting involved is a theme you're going to hear a lot from me this year. This club has grown quite a bit over the past year. We're 120-ish, 126, 7. I was all right. That's close. I'll take that. 127 strong. And, we've got folks and I've kind of made this comment before. We've got folks of varied backgrounds and experiences and got new licensees. We've got folks that have been licensed forever. Like to see some new blood volunteer and get involved with some of these different things, whether it be with swap, whether it be with field day, Michigan QSO party, any of these other things that we have going on. Uh, One thing that those of you that do attend those are going to notice that uh, it's the same group of folks that are always there, and that's great. And I want to see that same group of folks there. But it'd also be nice to get some other folks involved. I know everybody's busy, but it's just being a volunteer it would help us out a lot, and maybe even allow us to do other events that we just don't have the bandwidth for. So just going to hear a call for volunteers tonight. We're going to be looking for I think we'll have a sign up sheet for the swap, and there's also going to be an online sign up right for the swap, Zach. So, I mean, another one of like our biggest event, right? We need door runners, we need table escorts, or door monitors, table escorts, things like that. Just anywhere you can help out would be greatly appreciated. So, just kind of get it on your mind. Speaking of swap, well, our annual swap will be held at Ward Church. Remember, there is a venue change this year. And I think generally speaking, we're very excited about it because it's a bigger venue and we'll see how it works out compared to the other place we've been out there. But that's going to be at the Ward Church in Northville on February the 22nd. Again, volunteers are needed and also get the word out. A lot of you are members of other clubs or just have other interactions with hams that aren't necessarily part of the Livonia club. Get the word out. Let them know, hey, do you want to get involved? Either come to the event or get a table. Anything like that. So share the word. We are in the business of communication, aren't we? Yeah, go for it, Zach.
So for volunteers, I'm going to pass around a sign up sheet. And when you've thought about doing something or thought you have a task to do, and all day long you're like, what was it? What was it? And then you're halfway driving to this meeting and you remember what you were supposed to do, and it was create a sign up sheet. So what I did before the meeting here was I drew it up on a sheet of paper. So what I'm going to pass around is put you down your call sign and the times that you would be available to help volunteer at the swap, and I'll fill you in where you would best fit. If you want to maybe double check your calendar and sign up later, if you go to the homepage of the website, and then right here is about the swap, and click for more information. And then right here is volunteer sign up. And you can go here and you can schedule what time you would like to work at certain spots. So we have a need for door monitors, ticket check-in, coffee and donuts, the raffle table, not rabbit table. And then also what's different about this venue this year is that we need assistance in setup and tear down, because that's not being done by the venue, that's being done by us. So on Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30, we'll need help setting tables up and getting everything kind of squared away, so that way Saturday morning it will go smoothly. And same thing for tearing down. We need to take down the tables and chairs and put it all away and make the space look better than when we arrived. So I'm going to pass the sheet around. Go ahead and toss your call sign on there and maybe some times that you're available, or just write all day, and I'll fit you where you need, or come up here and sign up. So that's pretty much it for volunteers.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. Anytime you can give for the swap, especially because that's what's coming right up. But any of our future events, kind of keep an open mind about it if you would. And last but not least, Don.
What are the hours of swap?
Oh, that's a good question.
7 to 12.
So 8 to noon.
8 to 12.
8 to noon, just what I thought.
Volunteer hours are different.
Yeah, let's actually talk about that, because the volunteers do need to be there earlier, right? So we can get everything squared away. So we get there at 6:30. Okay.
Vendors start, we started May the vendor
There at 6:30. Vendors start at 7, and they are usually a patient bunch. So. All right. Anything else we want to cover on swap while we're on the topic? I think we're good. Okay. All right. And then last but not least, our breakfast every Saturday morning at Seneconey Island at Plymouth and Stark. Is our favorite waitress back on the mend, or no? Okay. So come anyway. It's a great group and good food. So I'd like to see y'all there. Next up, I'm going to give it over to Ron, KDTJ, to talk to us about the ARRL Teachers Institute, which he's attended a few times, and I think he's got some good information for us.
Zoom session here. Second.
Can you hear me? It's okay. All right. Well, yeah. So thanks for inviting me today. For coming out here in the middle of winter to hear me talk. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of my experiences at the ARRL Teachers Institutes. I've been to 2 of them over the last couple of summers, and so I want to just give you a sense of what they're about and why they exist. So, what is the ARRL Teachers Institute? Well, basically, it's a professional development opportunity to help classroom teachers elevate their STEM programs through wireless technology. So there's, as you can even look around the room here, an aging crowd in amateur radio. And the ARRL board has really made a focus on trying to get youth into amateur radio. And one of the ways to do that is to do it through teachers, right, who have contact with students even at elementary school ages. So these are week-long programs with almost all the expenses covered by the ARRL Education and Technology Program. There's basically a $100 fee that the teacher will pay, and the rest of it is covered by the program here. Now, I want to tell you that if you are a member of ARRL, none of your dues go to this program, okay? These are all donations specifically to the Education and Technology Program. And so the flip side of that is if you think this is valuable, please donate to the Education and Technology program. Okay. It's eligible. The eligible participants are any active K through 12 teacher or teacher at a college or university, or anyone who's involved with a leadership role at an after-school or homeschool type collective. Okay, so currently for this year, they've kind of changed the structure of this, but there's basically an introductory institute. They call it TI1, Introduction to Wireless Technology. And then in the past, they had sort of TI2, TI3. Now, once you take the initial TI1, you're eligible to take any what they call the TI electives. There's several here, remote sensors and data gathering, space communication and radio astronomy, and balloons and amateur radio. Those are some new ones they're offering this year. Most of these are held at the ARRL headquarters in Newington, Connecticut, although they're also trying to expand out to other venues. They've had them in the past in Dayton. They're going to be doing one in Staten Island area, and they're trying to spread them out throughout the country, so it's easier for folks to get to them. And they're mostly held during the summer, June and July, but there'll be some in October as well, I believe. I'm going to talk to you today about my experiences at TI1, which was 2 summers ago, and then the remote sensors and data gathering one, which was last summer. Okay, so starting at the Teachers Institute 1, this was in June 2023 in Newington. There were 9 external participants, and then a couple people from the ARRL staff were there, mostly high school teachers. The institute instructor was Tommy Gober, N5DUX, and the coordinator for all these education programs is Steve Goodgame, K5 ATA. You may see him, he has a column in QST. So when we got there, all the participants were given the equipment that's shown here on the table. So it was a nice sort of collection of things. You can see there's several things. There's an arrow antenna here. There's a multimeter. There's a little SDR, plug-in SDR with a little antenna, VHF, UHF antenna. You can see there's a Baofeng up here, Yaesu FT70. And this yellow thing is actually an Arduino kit. So lots of little things. And so over the course of the week, we were able to kind of learn about all of these things. So I'm just going to walk you through sort of each day and kind of tell you what we did. So on day 1 was sort of introduction to the Institute, introduction to wireless technology in the context of STEM education. And I'll tell you that most people who come to this institute are not amateur radio operators. Some were, but a lot of them were not. There is an expectation that you will pass the technician exam by the end of the week, though. So otherwise, you can't take home the radios. It uses a sort of project-based learning approach. So we did a lot of hands-on stuff during the institute. Day 1 talked about things like basic electrical principles, radio waves, basic electronics. So really starting from beginning. So one of the projects in day 1 was to assemble from a kit this Foxen offset attenuator. So we literally got circuit boards, some components we had to solder together and assemble pieces. I have a copy of it. I mean, I have a version of it that we put together in my bag over here if you want to take a look at it after the talk. So again, if you're not familiar with fox hunting, so the idea is that you have an antenna, you're trying to find a hidden transmitter, and when you get really close, sometimes it's hard to tell where you're at. So if you have an attenuator, you can actually turn it on, and then it allows you to get better sensitivity when you're close in to the beacon. So that's what this little device does. Also on the day 1 of the Institute, we had a little tour of the ARRL headquarters. So they have a little museum in there. If you've never been there, they have a lot of like old time, really old time type amateur radio equipment. You can see here. This is apparently an old cup from an actual early competition. They used to give away these cups or at least engrave your name on them. This is an old, they believe it's a code practice machine. So the middle is I think some tones or clicks so you can practice your Morse code. So I thought that was interesting. Inside, they also, though, besides the museum, they have actually a modern station. Most people know about W1AW, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But they also have W1HQ, which is inside. It's a very nice flex radio setup. I think multiple radios there, and very sort of modern looking technology. That was nice to be able to take a look at that, sort of the old and the new all together. In addition, they have a test lab. So this is actually inside the Faraday cage that they have, the screened-in room. So they do electromagnetic testing in there. There's also another lab outside this room, but you can see it's chock full of different kinds of electronic instrumentation. from the main headquarter building, there's the W1AW. That's the little house here you can see. So we went over there, got a little chance to tour around. Kind of an amateur radio operator's dream. They have more antennas than you can shake a stick at, all over the place around the building there, for pretty much every band you can think of. You can go there if you happen to be in Newington, Connecticut. You can drop in. They have drop-in hours, I think, from starting around 10 in the morning till about 3 in the afternoon, and you can just show up if there's availability. You can operate there. Looks like inside the station there. You can see that's Joe Garcia. He's the station manager. NJ1Q, and all the equipment in the background there. That's equipment they use to connect the radios to the antennas, and they also run the code practices using that equipment. If you've ever copied code from W1AW, that's where they set it up and get it out to the world. They also have several operating positions in there with multiple radios. It just gives you some sense of what it looks like. Basically, if you go there, you have to operate as W1AW, but they help you get online and learn how to use their system, user logging, and all that stuff. So that was fun. Day 2 was more about radios. So we got into radio component systems, things like what are the key sort of modules in a radio? So things like oscillators, amplifiers, mixers, rectifiers. Talked about modulation types, things like AM, FM, single sideband, phase modulation, quadrature amplitude modulation. And then we actually then got a chance to go out and do a little bit of fox hunting. We assembled our little Bionics Fox beacon, programmed our call sign into it and a little tone, and then when we took it outside to play with. Another thing that we were able to do, again, most people here did not have a lot of experience with electronics, so they started us off with a basic, just an FM radio build from a kit. So we got a circuit board, we got some components, and we had to kind of put it all together. So that's what it looks like when it's all done, and it actually worked. You could actually get some local FM radio stations. Day 3, we got into talking about satellites, so radio reception via satellites, so FM versus linear satellites, various different tracking apps, so you can see what's up in the sky and when it's coming by. And we also got to put together our Aero Yagi antenna. We also talked about software-defined radio and got to play around with the SDR Sharp software to go with an RTL SDR, a little plug-in dongle into the side of the laptop. And we talked about field operations. So we went outside. I'll show you some pictures of that, setting up an antenna and looking at portable equipment. So this was that's an example of the 2-meter configuration of the Aero Yagi antenna hooked up to the Baofeng. There's me outside W1AW trying to catch some signal from satellite. This is was our little field day setup we had here. They set up some tables there. Steve shot a line over a tree, and we set up an antenna, and we were able to kind of get on the air. A lot of folks had never seen field day type setup before. You can see there's a solar panel over here, and they had charging up a little battery as well. This was a nice little demo, I thought. So a lot of this is sort of things that you can do with kids, right, in an educational context. And so this was a cute thing using the Yagi antenna. Tommy had put together just a little LED on a stick, and if you direct the Yagi antenna at the LED, it lights up, right? It's wireless power transfer, and it's a very nice visual way to see that. Because most of the time you can't see radio waves, so it was a really nice demonstration. I like that one. Also, we went outside. Here we got hooked up our little dongle to the laptops and tried out our SDRs. We were able to tune in some local stations, FM radio stations, and just to make sure that it was working, learn how to use the software. And again, there's some basic things that probably we're all familiar with: waterfall plots, right? But if you've never seen a radio before, these are brand new things, and you need to learn how to use them. And certainly students don't know how to use them most of the time. Day 4 was all about digital signal processing. So we were able to get our hands on the Arduinos. So we got an introduction to digital signals, analog digital conversion, focused here on the Arduino microcontroller. So we got a little overview of the hardware, what an Arduino is. We just had a program about that. So if you missed that, I'm sure it'll come back around. And then also a little bit of Arduino C programming, how to actually run a code. So we wrote some simple code, put some LEDs into a board and turned them on and off and things like that. Day 5, talked about weather satellite reception. We got into wireless data transfer. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Radio programming with Chirp to try to program some stations into our Baofangs. And then also sort of overview of some other ARRL educational programs, things like the Amateur Radio and International Space Station program and other grants that you can apply for if you are a teacher. And then for folks who needed to or wanted to, they could do license testing. I'd like to show you this. This is we were able to actually track a weather satellite. So they have a very nice system where they can basically program in what satellite they want, and it will automatically track the azimuth and elevation of the satellite across the sky. So you get a very nice reception the whole time. You don't have to worry about trying to move your thing manually. So that was really, really nice to see. It's up on top of the tower there. And then here's Joe inside, kind of showing us the software that goes with the hardware to make that happen. And so we were able to get a halfway decent signal there. This is, I don't know if you can make that out, but it's basically the east coast of the United States. A little bit of noise at the top of the image, but not bad for what we were doing there. This was a nice little demonstration. So Tommy had got out just your old TV remote control, and he'd hooked it up and pointed at an infrared sensor, and took the infrared sensor up to an oscilloscope. And you can actually see then, you can see in the background here, there's digital signals that come out, and you can then sort of try to figure out, well, what does 1 mean? What's the pulse sequence for when you press 1 button, or the 2 button, or the 3 button? And so again, for kids, they've never seen digital signals before. Great way to sort of visualize something that they have in their own home, right? Everyone's got one of these. Okay, so after the Institute then, what happens? So everyone is required who attends the Institute to submit a lesson plan. I have some of mine if you want to take a look at them. You can pass them around. And these are things that you might use in a classroom down the road. We also got some books about amateur radio and things, things about upgrading our licenses later. We got access to the ARRL Learning Center. If you're a member of ARRL, anyone actually can get access to the ARRL Learning Center. There's lots of PowerPoints and other kinds of materials there. So if you want to study for your next license class, there's lots there to use. You can actually get continuing education graduate credits if you attend one of these. Some people need that for their professional development. We learned about 4 more ARRL grants. And of course, the next thing is you can apply for the electives, which I'll talk about next. Okay, any questions here so far? I'll take a little break. Sorry, you put a professor in front of a microphone and I just keep talking. Any questions?
What types of things have you done since this with your students?
Yeah, so I'll talk about that a little bit later, but I have started to incorporate this in my college class. I'll hold that question, but yeah. Yes.
Everyone knows what you're at.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sorry. I didn't say that. So I'm a university professor. I teach at Kettering University. I'm an associate professor of physics there. And I teach a variety of courses: Newtonian mechanics, electricity and magnetism, medical physics, acoustics, all kinds of things. So that's my background. Yeah.
You mentioned radio astronomy. Did you mention anything of or whole society that does that stuff? Physics.
Yes. So I kind of worked on a project separately from the Institute here, but I think that they will be getting to more of that in these electives coming forward. Yeah, definitely. Okay, let me talk about the second Institute. And this was last summer 2024. Normally we would have been at Newington at the ARRL headquarters, but they were just kind of getting out of the security breach that they had there, and they wouldn't really let anyone into the building. So I think the network was down, like the Wi-Fi and everything. So we were over in this place called Red Thread. It's kind of a office furniture, a very nice store or not store, demonstration facility really. And they had a nice training area there. And so that's where we were in Hartford for most of the time. One day we went back over to the ARRL headquarters. These are again mostly K through 12 teachers. All but 2 of us were K through 12 teachers. This now the instructor was Wayne Green. He's KB4 DSF. And again, Steve was coordinating this. So the focus of this institute was on remote sensing and data transfer. So the goal of the overall institute was to build a weather station, really a weather buoy was the original plan, that could be remotely monitored via amateur radio. Okay, so all the participants were given the equipment shown. We had an SDR Play RSP-1A, so that's a kind of receiving software-defined radio, an Arduino sensor kit, a Kongshen UV-K5 battery, and a DigiRig, which is not shown in the picture there, terminal node controller, amongst some other things. So on the first day then, again, kind of a refresh about Arduino, Arduino C for hardware control and data acquisition. You can see the Arduino board at the top. We did a little, just simple thing to get ready, building a little 8-bit binary digit indicator. So we put in a number and it would convert it into lights in sort of 1010 format to show a binary digit. We also learned how to flash the firmware for this Kongshen. That's one of the features of these newer radios. You can actually change the firmware in them. So that was kind of interesting. Day 2 got into more about APRS. Really, that was going to be the main thing that we need to do this data transfer, to use APRS. So we were able to learn how to use APRS using the SDR Play receiver with sound modem and Direwolf UISS software. We also were able to send and receive APRS using the DigiRig interface. You can see that here in the picture. I had my Arrow antenna here. Here's the DigiRig into the handheld and then into the computer. So the first thing then we were going to do is if we're going to make a weather sensor, we need to have some sensors to incorporate in. So took, first of all, this little chip called the BMP280. It's basically a temperature and pressure sensor, okay? And that we were then able to interface with the Arduino, okay? And we wrote some code, which would basically take temperature from the thermistor, send that into Arduino, and then there's pressure sensors actually on the BMP chip. So we were able to get that working. And here's an example of that. So this shows you on the left-hand side temperature in Fahrenheit versus time. And I put my finger on top of the thermistor, and lo and behold, the temperature went up. Okay, so yes, it's working. Took my fingers off, temperature went back down again. Okay, day 3 then got into, we wanted to, this idea was this could be something, maybe a buoy that could move around. So we wanted to have the ability to actually sense location. So we got in our kits a GPS receiver board, and we learned how to interface that into the Arduino. Okay, and the first thing was to make sure that the GPS receiver was working. So we used this software called Surf Demo to display the number and the direction of the GPS satellites. So I'll actually show you how many satellites are connecting to the actual GPS chip. So that was kind of neat to see. Also, we were able to then, once we had sort of the temperature sensor, and now we've got the GPS sensor, we then had to interface with the APRS board. This is a MicroTracker 3 board, if you're into that kind of thing. That then it hooked it to the Arduino. So we could then, basically the idea was we take the data using the pressure and temperature and the GPS, and then send that out through the APRS for remote sensing. Okay, so this shows you kind of the output. There's a serial output from the Arduino. You can see here there's latitude and longitude from the GPS. This is temperature. We had actually 2 temperature sensors. Sort of one was going to be sort of inside, and one for sort of the exterior temperature inside the buoy and then outside the buoy. So that's in degrees Celsius. There's next to that is the pressure in pascals. And then there was also, we had the ability to monitor a battery, which would be hooked up to this. And so that was basically a 10-bit register for recording the battery strength. And then my call sign. So got it to work. That's okay. So the plan was to have everybody at the Institute make their own little weather sense station. But turned out there was some rather obscure firmware issues in some of the chips that we got that only the instructors was working. So it was really, the instructor, he was so frustrated because apparently this was an undocumented feature of this firmware. And not only that was his firmware different than our firmware, even amongst the participants in the institute, our firmwares were different. So it was a nightmare to try to debug. In any case, we got one system working, and we put it outside on a Thursday night and got it going. So you can see the whole system here. Basically, we had the sensors were here, the Arduino is here. There's a battery powering the whole thing, and then hooked up to the radio. Okay, so we got this set up. Then we went over to our barbecue at ARRL and let it run. So we got about 7 hours worth of data, and that was through aprs.fi. And so it did seem to work. So, yes. We also, later that afternoon, we tried to get a satellite image from a NOAA satellite as it went over, but didn't get a very good pass. It was low to the horizon from where we were at. We also learned how to use pinpoint APRS to send and receive messages via packets for handheld radios. And we reviewed digital analog conversion and discussed various exercises for students, including what's called a rattlegram app, which basically is a little app you can open up on your phone, and you can play a digital signal and it will decode it. And that's kind of neat. Okay, so some personal benefits for me. So first of all, in the process of doing this, especially after the first institute, I actually did upgrade from general class to amateur extra. I got some of my first radios through this process. I was able to operate at W1AW. I also became an ARRL volunteer examiner after the first institute. And then all of that sort of motivated, got me thinking about writing a proposal for my own institution, so Kettering University, where I put in a grant to redesign my electricity and magnetism course. So I teach electricity and magnetism, the first course, to engineering students, whether they want to take it or not. It's a required course. Mechanical engineers like, oh, I have to know anything about electronics. So I did that, and I can talk a little more about that to Zach's question. So some of the things that I tried to incorporate, we did a little outdoor field day event last fall with the amateur radio club that we have on campus. I was able to do a demonstration with the Yagi antenna and a satellite. I've done some simple things where we got some FRS radios, and I just taught the students on how to like call CQ and like talk to each other around the building. Just this past weekend, I had my class do a listening contest. None of them are licensed, so I just had them say, get online. Like Winter Field Day is happening. Write down at least 10 contacts just to get on the radio. And you'd be surprised how hard that is for some students. And so stuff like that, just to get, I do a little sample net in class, just so they know what a net is. A lot of these students, at first day of class, I tell you this term, asked, how many of you have heard of amateur radio? Not a single person. Not a single person in the class has heard of amateur radio. Okay, so you need to know that people don't know about what this hobby is all about. Okay, so that's some of the stuff that I've done with the class. I also went to the 2024 American Association of Physics Teachers summer meeting in Boston, and I did a presentation with Steve about the institutes, and I try to educate more teachers about the institutes. Okay, so I've been going on here. I also like to thank the ARRL Education Technology Fund for funding me to go to these institutes, and also our Department of Natural Sciences who helped support me as well. There's me doing FT8 at W1AW. And if you have any questions, there's a QR code there. If you're not a teacher yourself, you might know some teachers. Please let them know about this. It's a great opportunity. It's very low cost. And especially if there's somebody you want to get involved with amateur radio, again, they do want, there's sort of an expectation that they get a license before the end of the institute. If they don't have one already. Okay, questions?
Do they take home all that equipment?
Yeah, you can take it all home. And it's yours personally. It doesn't go to the school. And the books too, they send you. I mean, I had a box of books this big. So it's really great opportunity. Yeah.
You said one of the goals of the initial was to get teachers licensed. Were they presenting the material all week long with actually giving a feed session at the end?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So they actually sent the books in advance of the institute, but not too much in advance. So I think I got my book for the extra class license like a week and a half before the actual institute. So that was not enough time for me. I took the exam and I almost passed. I didn't quite make it, but I came back here and I took it with y'all. So, but yes, no, they do sort of send the instruments stuff in advance. You can see there's a lot of things we do talk about in the institute, but it's not really enough, I think, to cover everything.
It's all geared towards
A lot of it is, yeah. I mean, we
it from your
That's a great question. I think most people did, as far as I knew. There was several people who were already licensed too, so I don't know all the details, but yeah. You do have to be licensed for the second, any of the electives. You have to already have a technician at least. Yeah.
Does Kettering have a ham radio club?
It does. Yes, we have one. We actually run two different sort of what we call sections. We have students who come into school and then they go to work back and forth. So what we call the B section club, they have an amateur radio club funded through the student government organization. I'm trying to get it going in the other section right now. So yeah, we're trying to set up a little lab in there. I've got some computers. We've got some radios. I'm trying to make a Go box like the one we have for the club here. And the only thing we're really limited on is we have some antennas that are on the roof, but they're disconnected, and I think that the feed lines are really badly decayed. So I'm working on that. Yes.
Did you coordinate with our webmaster maybe about advising on like a resource for teachers, information where we have your PowerPoint and related links on our website?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I can make this available. I'll talk to Zach. Other questions here? Okay, like I said, I have most of the stuff that we did at the Institutes over here in the blue bags. So if you want to stop by and take a look at some of the stuff, I'm happy to show you. Yeah.
Students you have in your class?
How many have students in my class? I had 26 students in the fall in two sections. I did test. I forced them to take a test, the technician exam, and that was an interesting experience. I was the only one there as a VE. So we actually used, I worked with the folks at WM7X, and we did remote. They had like 20 VEs from all over the country and the world, actually, who kind of came in and helped supervise the exam. And I had 22 of the 26 students pass their exams. So, yeah. So I'll be doing it again this term with about 50 some students. So, any other questions?
I wasn't aware everyone did that. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, they're really trying to work hard to get more students involved. It's particularly great for if you're a high school student, because ARRL will cover the cost of your licensing exam, and they'll cover the cost of your actual FCC license cost as well. So really, really great opportunity if you know anybody who's 18 or under. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. That's good stuff there. You know, thank you for your time on that too, Ron. And Ron's a great example of what I was saying earlier, right? We've got 126 members of this club of varied experiences and backgrounds. I mean, how many people knew he was a physics professor? You know, so I am not. Yeah.
That's one of the higher membership accounts that I remember in the past 30 years. We have around 130, 131. But shows you, coming down from our peak point where we were down to 125.
Coming back, full head of steam. All right.
It's the intention on everybody.
Oh yeah, of course. You know, details. All right, let's get into our old business and move along here. Our secretary's report available for Mr. Mike upon request. Treasurer report, Bill, give it to you.
So at the November meeting, we had $10,078. We took in a little over $1,000, mostly in renewals, $805 in renewals. We had $100 donation, and we had $186 for new members. Expenses was $638. Insurance, $200. Supplies for the swap, $362, and a few other dollars for like PayPal and or some miscellaneous. So our ending balance was $10,531.91. And by the way, Mike Ruzika,
Yeah.
please see me after, because you've already paid. So I'm gonna give you $20 back.
Oh, wow.
I do have a record with me. If you have a question as to whether you paid, please see me after the meeting. I can inform you whether you have or have not.
Thank you, Bill. Yeah. Okay. I was looking for Hero. Oh, there you are, Hero. Do you want to talk about the 2 meter net report?
Sure. Let me share the screen first. Do you guys see the screen?
Yeah.
Yep, I see it. All right. Thank you for coming to the meeting. And let me go back to the front. First of all, the check-ins are gradually going up. It's almost like a 1 per year going up on the average. So that's nice. Same thing on active participant. They're more actively participating in the net. So thank you very much. And the KAYYZ has kind of rehabilitated us by kind of instituting to use a proper check-in procedure during this net, the LARC 2 meter net on Thursday nights and 8 p.m. To follow the instruction is to state the proper check-in's call sign, first name, and the location, and go given slowly. And that will make us our net control to check in more smoothly, especially during the pre-net that when people are coming in pretty quickly. And I really appreciate, and seems like it's taking a hold. And lately, the checking of our nets are much smoother than used to be. So, thank you very much for that. And my suggestion is to use a net logger if you have not, because it makes it a little bit easier to keep track of what's going on the net and who is checking in or not. So let's go around. I don't know, Keith is there in the library there, but Keith, KDA-ZSK, has been running this repeater crawl. So thank you very much. And it's a very interesting thing. So you should join and use our repeater. This is a schedule in our homepage showing like that. So check it out ahead so you know what the discussion topics and net control stations coming up. And like I said, a net logger, I have a little quick start guide type thing on the our LARC website. Is a little presentation page that has these downloadable PDF file that shows a step-by-step how to set up a net logger. So that's about that. Anyways, thank you very much for joining the net if you have, and also the net controls for helping me out. And I'm always looking for new net controls. If you want to try out, just contact me through emails. That'll be your best way. Or just mention during the net that you're interested. That'll be fine too. Right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hero.
Cliff,
Yes, sir.
I got one quick question for the club and for Hero, because I was telling somebody about the net and they monitored, they weren't able to get in during the initial check-in. Would it be possible, or, you know, just the thoughts of at either halfway through the net or at a specific time, 15, 20 minutes into the net, to do a check-in recall so you don't lose anybody along the way who's standing there waiting? Is, yeah, they said, well, you know, they just, I got this, and I just wondered thoughts on that, and that would be effective.
Yeah, first off, it's a good thought there, James. I thought I'm out of practice now. But I thought we did pause at some point in the script and ask for additional check-ins.
I mean, when you get getting rolling with people, you can
Mhm.
We'll stop.
We'll stop again. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm net control on the fourth Thursday. I always think at the beginning of that, I need to stop halfway. Next thing I know, I'm at the bottom of the list, so I'll make a point.
Yeah, it's just, it's just a thought that.
Yeah, no,
No, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea at all. And I'm hoping though that I'm hoping with the new check-in procedures that have been advertised for the last several months that things have slowed down a little bit because for quite honestly, net control felt like a rare DX entity. It would start asking for start asking for. Mhm.
And 16, and they didn't have a carrier drop between any of them.
Yeah.
That was way too.
Yeah. And that was my hope. That we needed to just kind of take a beat between this stuff because it was getting out of hand there. So I'm glad it's getting better. We could still, it's not a race. We'll get you checked in.
Yeah, and as far as checking in, doing the halfway or whatever, it's really in the discretion of the net control to do that. And we monitor like I said, the net logger as well as some of them, as well as the Echo Link, and we'll try to get the people in, but they can always break into the net by just making the comments or whatever, and that's allowed. And people who are used to checking internet probably would do that. So that's my comment.
Yeah, thank you there, Hero. But I think it's good practice we could start looking into. Just kind of go out there and look for another round of check-ins. Not going to hurt anything for sure.
Yeah, I keep my net controller, free ranging, I'll call it. It's up
That's
to
true.
them to how to run the net, because I really want to have net control to have their own style per se. We have script, but it's really just a guideline, as I always say to those net controls. They really should customize whatever they want.
Yeah, that is the fun part of it. You've got the script kind of keep you on track, but interject your own personality into it. When I was doing it, I had a lot of fun with it. That's just UHF back in my home. I'm going to I'll wiggle your mouse.
You're good. Keep going.
Okay. Anyway, I found it to be a lot of fun. So, anything you want to say about Larkin Park or any of the general meeting stuff, John? Or well, I'll let you have it then.
Thank you very much. So for the February meeting is our elections, budget approval, all that stuff. So we're set for February. For March, I'm looking at a presentation on the WinLink system. I've got a resource in mind that I've reached out to. I've not heard back from that person. So if anybody has some idea of anybody who's got a good WinLink presentation or who knows a lot about WinLink that might be able to put one together, all ears.
Ask Roy, W8ROY.
Oh.
He has a win link.
Oh, really?
He doesn't know.
Oh, okay.
Send email.
Okay. I will reach out then. Perfect. Excellent. Also, as an aside, my nephew took physics at Kettering from Ron, so he's definitely legit. Best student you ever had, isn't that what? Yeah, look at the differentiation.
Do you have Larkin Park for February?
For February, we're talking about 3D printing. Possible.
Okay.
I'm gonna talk to Fred about potentially doing a coax section, but Fred's wondering. He may not want it, so. Yeah, right.
Thank you there, John. And I know I say this all the time, but I really appreciate what you do for the club and getting these presentations together and keeping things entertaining. That's for sure. So, all right. We're here to new business. Mr. Bill, we got a couple of new members and license upgrades. Oh, I don't.
Sorry. Howard Saltz, got technician, KF8 Charlie Sierra Kilo, and Mike Kojug.
Ojukari.
Ojikari, all right. KF8 Charlie Beck Pa are both new. Also, Will Piper, who is here, and Debbie Uhas, who is does not have a license but joined as associate. And Matt Pranger, who told us tonight he got his license at the last VE session. He's KF8 Delta Echo Papa. Any questions? And we have two more.
We are growing, folks. It's exciting. All right. All right. So what I'm going to do, I don't know. Do you want to pop up? Okay.
Yeah, but up and running.
All right.
I went on
Play with,
on the library.
play with radio silent for a minute. All right. So, folks, what we wanted to do tonight is take some time. I'm not going to read this line by line, but wanted to kind of highlight, no pun intended, the changes that we've made, proposed changes that we've made that you all will be voting on in February. I'm going to run through them and then take questions at the end if you have any for either me or for the board. Some stuff is cosmetically or physically moved and not necessarily changed. Uh, and then some stuff is brand new. So we tried to like be precise with the highlight and that kind of stuff there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the Constitution there. I said everything is highlighted in yellow. That's working on. All right, the first one is for Article 1D. It's related to just member information. Members violating bylaw section 14A. Well, we renumbered. Yeah.
Okay, 3A, 14. Oh, that's right. That's right.
Did you guys? Okay.
Okay, does that change the?
Auto renumbering.
Renumbering this thing was half the battle. All right. We'll obviously get that in, in its right home. But anyway, so that was existing, but it's moved. Like I said, I don't want to close my pen because I didn't make another note. All right. All right. Getting into Article 3. We added some additional duties to our vice president here. I know. Sheesh. The vice president will lead the annual audit as outlined in bylaw section 15, which again is something new. Audit committee to audit the budget, audit election, audit, just audit, keep things in line here. So that'll go to the vice president to lead, and then obviously with membership involvement as well. Down to 3C, just some clarification on what the recording secretary does. She maintains attendance records at all meetings and club events. It was worded just a little bit differently, so he's clarified more than anything. It shall be the duty of the recording secretary to make available a copy of the Constitution and bylaws if requested, which are on our website and everything else. But if you ask Mike, he'll hook you up or point you to the website. A little bit of a tweak to the public information officer, to give just kind of adding some clarification here. The PIO shall provide required annual reports to ARRL, state of Michigan, licensing and regulatory agency, and any other agencies as needed in case somebody else comes a knocking. The treasurer, we added some information because now we do have a club credit/debit card. So obviously the treasurer would control access to that card.
Can we pause there for a moment? This is Keith, KD8ZSK.
Yeah.
If we go back up to E with the treasurer, I found an interesting feature of the document. E, yeah, you were just there. So the highlighted sentence just below that, pay no bills without proper authorization. So because proper authorization is not defined here, I went to look for it and I found that authorization only appears once right here. So I don't think we define what a proper authorization is, and maybe we want to do that.
Thank you, Keith.
You bet.
I have to write this stuff down or I won't remember. All right.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. Going down to the meetings and quorums, again, just providing more clarification here. The bylaws shall provide for annual. We had to add annual in there, regular and special meetings, because we thought it was important to call out the February or the annual meeting that is generally in February. Let's see here. The article 4B, which is talking about having a quorum. Uh, there was this whole thing about the president or whoever's presiding over the meeting has to wait a minimum of 30 minutes before canceling the meeting. That's only going to be if we need to do club business during it, right? If we have a presentation and we got some folks here that want to hear it, no reason to cancel the meeting. That's just basically making that official. If we were doing any sort of club business like next month, we'd have to obviously have a quorum here to do so. Clarifying in Article 8, I do my Roman numerals in my fingers here. Just a clarification on the Robert's Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order. Oh, that's right. I thought it was, never mind. It's shall guide proceedings. It's just that we use that formality to kind of help us put a framework around whether it be the meetings or making motions and things like that and all that creamy goodness.
Govern before or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was governed. Yep.
We will follow these no matter.
Right. It's more like it's a guidance there. So that was all on the Constitution. Here, I thought stapling these things would be a better idea than what it was. Anywho, all right, then we get into the bylaws again, cosmetic kind of stuff, clarification kind of things. Membership, just clarifying that applications for membership can either come, be done at a regular business meeting, or obviously we have it on our website, right? You guys, a lot of people signed up on our website. We just want to make sure that that's official in our bylaws here. Section 3A, membership may be approved, denied, revoked, reinstated by a majority of the vote of the board for any reason. If the board votes to revoke a membership, it must then be approved by the general membership by a majority vote of the full membership. That means if somebody was to be removed, it takes some doing. Okay, it's not like somebody can just willy-nilly go, "Hey, you're out of here." So we have to have a majority vote by the full membership if a situation like that was to arise. All right, going into 4A, some clarification here. New members shall pay their dues upon submission of their membership application. Membership applications are not considered complete until they're received. Should a new membership application be denied by the executive board according to bylaws, section 3, the payment will be refunded. If we were to ever actually reject one, we'll give you your money back. Getting into meetings, really some tweaking here, and unless otherwise amended, there will not be a membership meeting in the months of July, August, and December. Which I know is in like our newsletter and everything, but I don't think it was officially in the bylaws. Oh boy. All right. I saw a lot of yellow. All right, so getting into more about the annual membership meeting, there shall be an annual membership meeting conducted in the month of February, provided Constitution Article 4, damn Roman numerals, is satisfied. The purpose of the annual meeting is the election of new officers. We've said this tonight, right? The adoption of the budget for the next fiscal year, and the adoption of any proposed changes to the club constitution or bylaws, which we'll be doing this year. Expenditure of club funds, the club treasurer shall prepare a proposed annual budget to be presented to the board at the February board meeting, which again, one more thing that we're voting on. Upon approval by the board, the annual budget shall be presented to the general membership for approval at the annual meeting. We go through that every year. We talk about the line items and all that kind of stuff. The board of directors shall have the ability to spend non-budgeted funds limited to amount of $200 at any one occurrence, not to exceed $500 annually. That's for something that comes up and we need to pay for a room for us to meet, for example. Okay, that we don't have to. We have that discretion to be able to spend that. That's just the example that came to mind. Any expenditures that exceed section 6A or 6B above shall require an approval vote at the general membership. Of course, if we're going to spend some money, we want to make sure that's outside of that, that we want to make sure that everybody's in agreement with that. With a quorum, uh, the financial year for the Livonia Amateur Radio Club shall run from the first day of March, the following last day of February. The club shall have on the annual budget an emergency fund of $2,000. These funds are intended to be used to repair or replace the LARC repeater system in the event of a failure. So obviously we've got to be able to get that repeater back up and running if something goes south. 6F, all expenditures of monies not approved in the annual budget shall be reviewed by the executive board and recommendations presented to the general membership at the next regular business meeting. A majority vote of members present at the regular business meeting is required to approve any additional expenditures, which I think an example was getting the 710 last year, right? It's kind of how we did that.
A note on section 6, none of that was in the bylaws or constitution. So this puts a lot more framework around club funds.
Yeah, that's a good point too, is that we really wanted to spell out this kind of stuff and make sure it was really clear.
And I think what Keith Two was saying is probably one more section of this than.
Probably where that part goes. Yeah, I would agree. Okay. All right, getting into section 7. I like to call him Keith Dos. All right. 7B, the club may accept donations of equipment from other hams. Okay, let's stop on that a minute. I don't know what happened last year. We sure got a lot of interest from folks wanting to donate and have us help with the states and things like that. So we felt that we need to put some framework around that too. Especially if we want to, be involved with that as a club, there needs to be some guidelines around what we do, what we will accept, what we're going to do with it, things like that. So just kind of where this is coming from. So 7B, the club may accept donations of equipment from other hams. A designated club member, we're calling the estate and donation coordinator, will be responsible for determining the suitability of the equipment for club use and coordinating the acceptance or rejection and disposition, of donated equipment with guidelines from the board or guidance from the board. Donated equipment is not considered club property until it's accepted by the club property manager. Yes, sir.
For transparency, if we can add to that notification of donation be made either at the next meeting, next newsletter. Possible, what do you mean?
Yeah, I think it's workable. I think it's something we'd probably want to communicate, email, newsletter, and use all of our outlets there. 7C, sale of club-owned property. That's where we draw a distinction between actual club-owned property and donated equipment. Okay, so sale of club-owned property. Club may sell its property. Proceeds from the sale of the equipment shall go to the club's general fund. The board shall establish guidelines for the sale of equipment, including pricing and approval procedures, which will be approved by the general membership. So if we need to get rid of something, we'll come and talk to you all about it. Sale of donated equipment. Donated equipment may be sold with proceeds going to the club's general fund or donated to another ham radio club or organization. Donated equipment that is no longer needed may be disposed of at the discretion of the board. Moving on like a herd of turtles. All right, section 9C, talking about the technical trustee of the club. Just again, some detail stuff that we wanted to call out here. A log of all maintenance shall be kept, and a copy of the log shall be forwarded to the recording secretary. Any stuff that's done with the repeater, we'll make sure we have a record of that. It's kept on, part of the official club record. All right, and here's an example of where we're defining some of our new positions. Well, program manager is not a new position, but we wanted to make it official and put it into the bylaws here. So we define program manager. shall be responsible for organizing and managing monthly presentations for club meetings. This role involves coordinating with speakers, planning presentation topics, ensuring smooth execution of events. Now, for both the program manager and the membership manager, they wrote some really nice job descriptions that would be too lengthy to put in here, but they will be part of our documentation because there's a lot of things that that John does. There's a lot of things that Peter will do as the current membership coordinator. So you just couldn't put everything in here. Speaking of membership manager, the LARC membership manager is responsible for membership administration as well as supporting other board members regarding membership data related matters. With our new system that's going to be put in place at some point, we're going to have a lot of data that can be used in different ways for mailings and things like that. So our membership manager will coordinate that information.
I did just see something, James is right, it is 13A. For at the beginning, it was said 14A, so we need to fix that. Article 1B.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Continuing on with the membership manager shall assist the treasurer in keeping an accurate record of the club roster and club members. All right, getting into proposals to membership. Dating section 14A. To vote on a proposal, a quorum must be present. Again, we're just making sure we got enough people involved to vote on something here. A majority vote of the members present is required, and that's for anything brought to the club as something we want to do or propose to do. Audit committee. So I mentioned this earlier. We've got it. This is something new here. So we're going to form an audit committee. It's going to be formed after the general election. It's going to be headed up by the vice president. The committee shall consist of the vice president. I probably should just read this instead of elaborating on it. The committee shall consist of the vice president and at least 2 non-elected board members, the incoming treasurer, and can include any member who does not hold an elected position. So again, we're talking about volunteers. If anybody's interested in being a part of the audit committee, let us know. The outgoing treasurer shall provide the committee with an accounting of all incoming and outgoing funds and the proposed annual financial report. Again, it's just if we have a change of the guard, we tie up the loose ends. The committee shall determine the annual financial report is a true expression of the state of the club's finances and that all funds received have been properly deposited into the bank account, that all club credit cards have been accounted for, and there are no outstanding bills. Again, just tying things up. Election committee, mentioned this too a little earlier. The election committee shall be formed prior to the annual membership meeting. Committee shall consist of at least 2 at-large board members and can include any member who does not hold an elected position. Again, good volunteer opportunity to be part of the election committee. So I think this is going to be pretty handy. The committee shall seek members to run for the 5 elective offices. And then getting into the election itself, the election shall consist of the election of 5. We talked about that for a long time. The election shall consist of the election of the 5 officers, the approval of the annual budget, and the acceptance of changes to the Constitution and bylaws, which will be what we do next month. Please.
One quick question to go back to the audit committee. On there, it's great and everything. Can we put in something that gives a time limit? That this will happen within 60 days of the election, at least the result will be announced to the membership. The audit is completed, everything is in check.
Processing.
The club can determine, what the time frame would be. But it doesn't.
You're saying so for the audit.
It says for the audit. It doesn't say how long does it have to be.
So something like the audit starts following the election and
Within
general
60
guidelines.
days or 30 days.
60 days.
And at least a notification to the general membership that the audit has been completed.
Wraps up with that communication.
Paul on Zoom had a question on 6C. Go ahead, Paul. And say in the mic just in case he can't hear Paul.
It's typing.
Paul, did you have a question on 6C? You can come off mute and have at it.
We don't hear him.
If you're talking, you're on mute.
I'll wait for Paul. The other podcast.
Any other questions or comments on the chat? Okay. All right. Well, if it comes back up, or if you just want to type it in the chat, Paul, go for it. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? Miss Sandy, please.
And I don't want to throw anything more on John, but you don't mention LARC in the park at all, so it's not an official activity, or we want to leave that loose, which is understandable.
Execution of events.
Yeah, just to mention monthly presentation.
Well,
events.
should that be another job, another position? I mean, I don't have a problem with both, I'm just saying, at some point, we had Joe doing the services. Doesn't necessarily fall under the program manager's duties, that's part of the course, there should be another, so that's maybe it's an additional job.
But does that actually have to be a board position, kind there?
None of those things. That'd be a good volunteer on.
If anybody's interested in doing that, come and talk to us. Any other questions, comments? Again, obviously I futzed through it tonight. Please, take some time, go out there and read it. Send us if you got questions, email us, email the board. That way it goes to all of us. And we'll try to straighten it out so that way we come in well informed February and ready to vote one way or the other.
Is this edited version available for the general? Yes.
It is. It's on the website. Yep.
You have to go to the newsletter, 2025 newsletter, and you download it. It's in the Cliff Notes section right here.
That link was also in the email that Chuck sent out to everybody.
All right.
Great work.
All right. Well,
Really.
We get to the end?
we're at the end of that, so we can start talking about.
Oh.
We have another. Oh, here we go. Paul did ask for.
6C.
Okay, the question was, any expenditures shall, and that's in quotes, sounds like expenditures made instead of perhaps any proposed expenditures will.
It does sound like after the fact.
Yeah, I think just changing it to any proposed expenditures that exceed will require. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Good catch there, Paul. Thank you. All right. Bill, do we want to talk about the proposed changes for the budget? I don't want to, but
Okay, I put out to the membership and I asked the board for ideas for capital expenditure. Got virtually nothing this year other than from the board. One of the things that I will go through the items that were added or that will be on the proposed annual budget.
Could you hold the microphone closer to you?
Yep. Would be a third generator. We have 3 stations that we're running currently at field day. So the thought is we need a third generator for that. We already have 2. Been proposed that we get feather flags 2 feather flags so that we can put more emphasis on showing the club that who we are, especially when we go to field day and Dawson. There's been requests for more shelving units and bins for in the storage facility so that we can get better organized. Those were the proposed capital expenditures. Other things that came up as proposals to go into the budget as speaker honorarium. As John has pointed out, it might be easier to get people to come in and speak to us about various topics if we gave them a nominal honorarium. Money for LARC in the park. Last year, John spent his own money to have a antenna building operation, and so if we wanted to do something like that again, it would be nice if there was money in the budget for that. Somebody proposed that we get a projector, a portable projector, so that we're not in this room, that we could go presentation. And of course, we need gas cans. Everybody's been donating their gas cans and in the past for field day. It would be nice if we had gas cans for the club. We still buy the oil, we still buy the gas already. That's operating funds, but we need something for the gas cans. Any questions? Oh, yes. That's the last thing there. There was a proposal that we reinstitute LARC Night Out. I don't know how many of these people still remember what LARC Night Out was. It was a time in October where we would go to a restaurant as a club, and the club would finance part of that dinner. You would buy all your own drinks, but the dinner would be partially financed with other club funds. It's one time it was a third, one time it was a half. The number changes, so there's going to be a number. There will be a number in the budget as a line item for that proposal.
It was a social activity for members and their family.
Right, social activity for members and their families.
Originally, and I'm talking going back to the 70s, was a way also for the club to thank the spouses for giving up their time and effort to their spouse for us using those. That was, the social aspect of it, but also so that the spouses can meet the, infamous Cliff or others that they might hear mentioned here and there. That was the general.
And so we would want, if we do institute this, if the board decides to go forward with it, we would want you all to join in it. Getting all these people around to come out for it would definitely be a good idea to be able to have some sort of a social meeting.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Question.
The generators, it might not be a bad idea to look into a battery type for an item instead of a reciprocating motor, so we can kind of go green. The ARL may have information on units that don't make a lot of EMI. Who knows?
When inverter generators. Yeah, this one is gonna be an generator.
Aren't those things RFI noisy as could be?
The one that I donated for use last day was an inverter generator. I don't think we noticed.
I got a question. Before in the club bylaws, it said that equipment lists were to be made available. So I have no idea on this, and especially with me not participating in field day. Do we have solar cells?
No.
If
We have no solar.
would that be a thought of making a purchase?
Solar generator, yeah.
At least for it to be made available and with the costs and all that.
So tell them to look into it. That's for sure.
The Ford Club usually makes 10 contacts off of solar
That's right. And
in their,
They can't,
whether it be their ten or whatever, which gives you the minimum number of contacts to get the points for the solar contact. And then they go right back to generator. Yes, the size of battery they've got, it don't take long.
All right. Before I jump into the El Marine and helping hands and all that stuff. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, we'll have my camper there again, which is all solar powered.
With that great air conditioner in it too.
Not for the air conditioning.
I know the air conditioner was very important.
Oh, yeah.
It was very nice.
But we make more than 10 contacts. And we'll make at least 10, which is what we need for points.
I know Dave and I used to do that 15 years ago. We run through and make our 10, 12 contacts, whatever it was.
Yeah, to check off that,
To check
that box, right?
So we didn't forget it. We did it first thing.
Yes, we don't want to forget.
Yeah. Yo, yeah. Somebody called me, I thought. Okay. Well, we are getting close on time. I know both Bob and John wanted to make a quick announcement. Bob, do you want to go first? You came to me first?
For field day and the Dawson Museum and do a soap party, we could use more CW operators. We could use more CW operators. And I think a lot of people are intimidated by what you hear coming off the radio. People are sending it 25, 30 words a minute. The thing is, you only need to copy call sign, 2 or 3 characters and a section. And if you can copy 15 words a minute, you can probably copy 25, 30 words a minute in contest mode. To practice, there's a program called Morse Runner, just like it is Morse Runner. And it has a field day mode now and sweepstakes and some other modes. So it's scary how much this sounds like a radio. It's software you run on your PC. I'll pass this around, but it's got QRM, it's got fading, it's got interference, everything. It sounds like you're on the radio, and you can practice and improve yourself pretty quickly with this. I'll pass it around.
Thank you, Bob. John, do you want to run up real quick for Corktown and whatever else is going on? That's the one I remember is Corktown all the time. Oh yeah, Roxy.
What's that?
Good evening. Hello, everybody. I'm John, KCHPRK. Hey, look, it's the start of a new year, and I'm looking for volunteers again. On March 6th, March 9th, which is a Sunday, is the Roxy F half marathon down on Crowsdale, 15th year of it. I've been with Emily since the beginning. It's awesome. The folks are awesome. This is a real simple event. You will be clear prior to 12 noon. Always a good thing. And on March 16th, which is the following Sunday, is the Corktown Run in Corktown. There again, you can watch all kinds of colorful people run up and down the streets of Corktown. You will be clear prior to 12 noon. Another nice and easy day there. And hey, and if you want, you got a parade afterwards. You can hang out, watch the St. Patty's Day parade come down Michigan Avenue, which happens directly after the run. So anybody interested, I'm here. Please feel free. Any questions, comments, anything, I'm open to everything. There's plenty of folks that know how to contact me. My email is John Tigger, JOHN TIGGER at Huawei.com. I know Miss Sandy's going to put it in a newsletter for folks to find it there, and appreciate any and all participation from the group here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, John. I am going to just skip ahead with one more official announcement. We do have February's meeting locked down. It will be at St. Aidan's? Aidan, okay, I'll say that right. St. Aidan's Activity Center at 17500 Farmington Road between 6 and 7 Mile. And that'll be for our Livonia, or for our February election meeting. So, and budget and all that good stuff. We needed a bigger venue, really starting to outgrow this room, and we need to have a quorum in that room. So, or a quorum. So we found us a little bit bigger room for February. So more details will be in the newsletter and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, don't come here. You'll have to go home, but you can't stay here. All right, folks, we're at the bottom of the hour. I appreciate everybody's time tonight coming out and joining us, and we'll see you in February. Have a good evening. Be safe. Secretary will close it down.